To make a dira, that's another matter altogether. But before you have dira b'tachtoinim, since the whole point of dira b'tachtoinim is, he could easily have made a dira b'tachtoinim for himself, no problem. These are the kol yochel, but he didn't. He made tachtoinim. The dira part of it is up to you and me. So right now, what we're engaged in is really trying to understand how is it possible. It's the fundamental question. Bayra nivra. How is it that we know ein oid milvadoi? This is a given. Ein oid milvadoi. On the other hand, we have these oilamos. We have seder shtalshels. We have tachtoinim. Is it real? Is it not real? Yes, it is real. Why? Because it's Ratzin. Who's Ratzin? His Ratzin, and he's real. It's. I agree. It's not. Chassidus is not here to make us comfortable. What can I say? Are we okay? Yeah. All right. Ukashem shehu kadmoin l'chol hakadmoinim. Since it's likewise called kadmoin kol hakadmoinim. That's what kadmoin is. Kamay kain bechinas adam shala b'machshava hu. So again, either we would think by using our own intelligence by seichel anushi. Either it's kadmoin, which excludes everything except etzem, or it's adam, which got nothing to do with etzem, it would seem. Both mamash fuse in Adam Kadmon. It's the will for Hagbala, which the will arose in etzem. Gamkein Kadmon l'chol hakadmonim means that Adam himself, Adam Kadmon is Kadmon k'Kadmonim. So now you have this manifestation Achrei-Mos with which something can be actually done, in which Oilamais and Sfirdus and Zman and Mokum can now emerge. There's ein oid milvadoi. There's hu v'shmoi echad. That's all. Achrei-Mos, the beauty of Tzimtzum, the miracle of Tzimtzum, is that it creates a space in Madrega, a space in Gilui, in which these possibilities can become dissociated from the or which gave rise to them ultimately, which caused them. And now you can have two things. You have, on the one hand, you've got Atzmos or Ein Sof. On the other hand, you have Oilamais. V'al pi zeh yesh loven d'kshem shebchinas atzmus harei shorish v'hakelim. In this manner, since we already see that atzmus is the source of kelim, l'mayl m'shorish. I'm sorry, yesh lomer d'kshem shebechinas atzmus. In atzmus, the shorish of kelim is higher than the shorish of oros. Kamay kain bechinas ak shorish hakelim l'mayl m'shorish oros. Likewise with ak. So, if already Adam is primal to the extent that it's associated with Kadmon, so within Adam Kadmon itself, that the superiority, the Maila of Kalim is higher than Aris. Yeah. So this is something actually the Rebbe had said before, but now we have a way to think about this, and it originates before Adam Kadmon. We want to really begin our discussion with Adam Kadmon because that really is the source b'poil, the Ratzin Kloli b'poil for all Seder Shtalshels. But the Rebbe wants to make the point that within Adam Kadmon itself, there are you have on the one hand Or and the source of Kalim, and the Kalim Taka have a higher sharash. L'lamayim l'sharash ha'arais. Kamay kain b'chinas ak. Similarly with ak. Sharash HaKelim, L'maylim Sharash HaAris, in Ak, Adam Kadmon, which is caused by Or Kaidim et Simsim, All Ratzin Kaidim et Simsim, the source of Kelim are higher than the source of Aris. This is the source, the Sharash. Begilui comes out the other way. Begilui, Aris are higher than Kelim. In Sharash, Kelim are higher than Aris. Af de beseder hishtalshlis hari ha'oros l'mayl ma'kelim. Even though in seder hishtalshlis oros are higher than kelim, to the extent that kelim in fact are brought to reality through the agency of Or, that Or is actually what's responsible for making kelim. But that's already once they have their own root and source. The Oris are responsible for being poil, the Metzias of Kalim. But the Oris are not creating Kalim. The Kalim have their own Sharash, L'mayla. But nonetheless, the Or seems to have a power, and that power is to bring Kalim from a state of a Sharash to the state of reality. Without the Oris, you're not going to get Kalim. Simple as that. You'll have a Sharash, you'll have a potential, a possibility, which can never come to reality manifestation, a Kali which can actually be Magbil. That's not going to happen unless Or fashions it, brings it, schleps it, and makes it what it is from its source. So it looks like the or is higher than the keli, and Seder Shtalshus, that's the way it appears. Mikol Mokem Ba'ak, in Ak, however, in terms of source, never mind the pu'ula, or the process, Shuhu B'tzalmai D'B'chinas Orein Soif. Ak is Taka B'Tzalim Orein Soif. It's the other way around. Shom Shorish HaKelim, there the Shorish HaKelim are greater. V'zehu echad mahadvarim shenemar aleihem nutz tlosim b'soifon. This is one of the situations we see. Again, this is a recurrent theme throughout Seder Shtalshlis. Nutz and tlosim b'soifon. The beginning is wedged in the end. This is very similar, although not exactly the same, is soif ma'isa b'machshavat chila. The end of the line was the first thing that was thought of. Think, l'mashal, a person wants a house. He has a ratzon. Why does he have a ratzon for a house? We discussed this before. Anyone remember?
Somehow it's hard to...
Pardon?
It's a built-in...
I'm sorry. Okay, why? That's the way the good Lord made it, right? Okay. Why is that? Because a Jew has a chelik elokam amal mamish. Right? And what does the Rabbeinu Shloim's thought on this matter? Why? You can't ask a question. That's mamash arotzen atzmi. That's from etzem. Because a Jew is mushrush and partakes of atzmus. Chelik elokah is not the same thing as elokus. Elokus is a ha'ara. You don't have a chelik of elokus. You have a ha'ara of elokus. So chelik elokah. So in the Shomas Yisrael is mamish chelik elokah mamal mamish. The Rabbeinu Shloim wants a dir b'tach toinim, and each one of us have a spark of atzmus within ourselves, and that will express itself in the same way. You want a house not because that's your role in making a dir b'tach toinim. That becomes your dalat amas. That becomes your house. That becomes where you put on your mezuzahs. That comes where you cook your kosher food, where you raise your Jewish family. And what do you, by doing all of those things, what has happened? You've taken a piece of God's world and you made a dir b'tach toinim for him. So a yid has, all of a sudden a ratzon comes to mind. And the ratzon is, I want a house. I'm going to build a house. So you're going to ask him, why are you going to build a house? Why do you want this house? Why is this? He's going to say, well, something, the family's getting larger. The market is it's a good investment. The mortgages are interest rates are very, very low. All of those things are true, but they're not. That's not why he wants the house. He himself doesn't know, because it's a ratzon. It's a ratzon atzmi, and it comes mamish to realization in his head. Now it's become meluvish in seichel, and then it's going to become meluvish in what kind of a house, how big a house, what sort of a house, and it's going to become meluvish in binan. He's going to start seeing pratim and thinking of pratim, and it's going to come to midas. He wants a red house, he wants a blue house. He's got to have this kind of a bathtub, that kind of a bathtub. I like this, I don't like this. This is what I want. This is what I don't want, don't want, like, don't like. That's midas. So you have an evolution. Oh, I'm sorry, but even before it gets to midas, you take an intellectual abstraction of what he pictures as his house. He goes to an architect. The architect writes blueprints. They can't live in blueprints. But this, the house is now evolved from a mental abstraction to a physical abstraction. And then the midas, and then comes the contractors and the electricians and the plumbers and this guy and that guy, and pratim and pratim. Now it's gone from midas to maisa, to netzach hoid yisoid malchus. Soif kol soif, the end of the line's the house. You could say, go to the architect, this is just fascinating, look at these blueprints. What an expression of seichel. How did you do that? How do you think that up? What a magnificent design. Stop there. You can't stop there, because that's not what you want. You can't live in blueprints. You can't live in midas, you can't live in seichel, you can't live in blueprints, you can't live in your imagination. You need pajat the house. What does the house tell you? Nothing. It's brick and stone. It doesn't tell you how it was built, doesn't show you the blueprints, doesn't give you any idea what kind of a personality wanted it. Nothing. All the Giluyim now have filtered down and got lost in bricks and sand and mortar and steel. That's what is wanted, because you can actually, the whole man now, with all those midas and all that seichel, now can live in it, which is what he wants. That's nuts talosim b'soifen. The whole thing had many madregas above the house. In terms of Giluyim, the house has no Giluyim. Has Giluyim that the neighbors can look and want one like it. So that's the kind of Giluyim it can have. But in terms of seichel, they've all gone into mamish, the mamashus of the house itself, which is the ultimate fulfillment of the ratzon which gave rise to it. You have the same thing here. The Rabbanu Shalom wants Adam. He wants Olam. The Iker is Kalim. Why? Why not artists? Why Kalim? Why are Kalim? Because Kalim are Mitzias. Nasav HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Baruch Der B'tach Toinim. Dir is made out of bricks. Bricks, stones, oisius taka, mitzias. There is no tachtoinim that is not mitzias. The Rabbanu Shalom wants him. Now, how odd it is, how radical it is to want a mitzias. Already we're starting to smell a little bit of mitzias with aqua. Adam on the one hand, kadmon on the other. Where does Adam come into the picture? It smells a little bit of mitzias. Now, not really, because it's quite a mitzimtzim, but nonetheless, the idea of mitzias is first. It's the whole concept of mitzias. Because without mitzias, you don't have tachtoinim. And the Rabbanu Shalom wants a dira b'tachtoinim. So the key here is that the Kalim Taka are driving everything. The drive, the Ratzon, everything Taka is on the Kalim. And they will ultimately determine the picture of what's going to happen. Yeah?
You're not going to call your house greater than you.
I'm sorry?
You're not going to consider the house greater than the people living there.
No. So likewise, you're not going to consider the Dir B'tachtoinim greater than the Rabbanu Shalom who's going to live in it. But before you have Dir B'tachtoinim, you've got to have Tachtoinim. Before you have the Rabbanu Shalom residing in this physical world, which is what he wants, you got to have a physical world. There's a hefsek here. Why? Because if he just wanted Dir B'tachtoinim, he can make it. No problem. But that's not what he wants. He wants it made by his children. He wants it to come through a Vaida. The whole system is designed for Olas Man, for Isrus L'Tata. It's designed for a Vaida. This is the pleasure and joy of the Rabbanu Shalom, not just in simply having a Dir B'tachtoinim, but in having it created and brought about by his people. But you're right, the house itself is only part of the picture. The ultimate stage is when the owner of the house comes to live in the house. But the owner of the house himself is who wants the house. That's the key. So the house on the one hand, which is bricks and stone and steel, the owner of the house is Be'ein Areich Mamash Arein Soif. They fuse Havaya Hu Elikim. Yeah.
Somehow that's how the house is greater than everything that lives in it.
If what lives in it is etzem, then the house can't possibly be greater. The house is a means of a venue in which the Almighty wishes to manifest Himself. The key is etzem. The key is neither. The fact of the matter is, the ultimate is neither Aris nor Kalim. The ultimate is Einoid Milvado, is Mitzius Amatzamusay. That's the ultimate. The ultimate is the Rabbanu Shalom. But this, what he wants is a reflection of his essence. That's what he wants. So it's the idea of not chalasim b'seifim, b'seifim t'chalasim, v'ayinu b'li yimotze roish v'seif b'chinas aris v'kelim. You don't know who begins, or who's at the beginning, and who's the end. It's just a constant. The aris are giving rise to the kelim are driving the or. Shani, you do a mi who hakoidim be'emes. Who really is first in line here? Oh, we take it a step. We're beyond Ak now. We're kind of at Simsum. Chesed and Gevurah Sheba'atzmus. We're a Chesed and Gevurah Sheba'atzmus. We're not going to go into it in any detail here. These are their spheres, Kaidim at Simsum. As spheres Aganuzas, according to that Shita, in which spheres are Orders, or as spheres. Pardon? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Yes. So ultimately, so you have now Adam and you have Kadmain. Adam is an expression of what? Of Gevurah. Koyach HaGvul. because it's Adam is spheres, not 11, not 12, not how many spheres? It could be infinite spheres, could be no spheres, it could be anything. It is mugbal mamish by the number 10. That is gvura in atzmas. Gvura in atzmas isn't gvura like you and I know gvura. It means the possibility of restraint, the possibility of metzias, the possibility. Okay, the kadmoin is or. Now God is neither gevura nor is he or. Or don't forget, we talk about atzmas saying soif atzmas. We're always talking about or in one way or another. You can't say anything about him. What you can say is mitzvah samatzmusa. That's all you can say. So these are manifestations. So we're just taking things a step higher. We're talking about Adam Kadmoin. Adam Kadmoin, the Shoresh of Kalim is higher than Ardos. Adam Kadmoin itself is an expression of a superiority over the concept of Kalim over Ardos. And even before there's Adam Kadmoin to even think about, even in this, the source of all sources of sources of Hagbol and Metzias, which would be Gvura, of Ein Sof, whatever that is higher in root and source than his Pashtus. So it's not a machine. In other words, if we're talking about a mechanism, an evolutionary mechanism, so somewhere along the line, something becomes dominant over something else. Here, this is the Almighty who's designed everything. Now we get Kodem et Simsim. It's not meaningful for us because we can't. Truth is, when we get above Etzil, it's not terribly meaningful because we have trouble relating to it. But one thing is absolutely certain, that this concept of Hagbala, of which Dira B'tach Tainim, that's what it is. That's what it is rooted mamish and atzmas. Just give us a sense of what means the preciousness of Metzias. Yeah? Explained elsewhere. And atzmas, they're more or less equivalent. Nonetheless, the Kardim et Simsim, why they're more or less equal? Why are they more or less equal? Because there's nothing there. This is the universal spheres, Haganuzis Lamashal in Or, let's say, in which they're there and they're not there. There's no Metzias. There are no spheres Kardim et Simsim. There are spheres Ein Sof, there are spheres Ein Kates, but there are no real spheres. So everything there is only one thing. It's Atzmas or Ein Sof. Nonetheless, what with all that? There is in God's mind, before anything else, a proclivity, a tendency, a thought, a possibility of Hagbala. And that Hagbala becomes the cause, ultimately, of Adira. Now, we're talking about Atzmas. We're talking about Atzmas or Ein Sof. The Rebbeinu Shalom does not have his job description is not to create. There's Ein Sof things he can do besides create. What there I don't know, because I'm part of creation. That's the only way we understand of the Rebbeinu Shalom is through creation. However, that does not take away a whit from the fact that it's Atzmus that wants this creation. A creation, think of the word for a minute, Bria, Rubaisai, creation, the Lashon is Yesh Ma'ayin. Bria means Yesh Ma'ayin. There's no Yesh. You don't have Bria. You can have worlds and ayin. You can have Giluim, you can have Oilamos, you can have Espashtus, you can have anything and everything. But you are not going to get a Metzias. Yesh means Metzias. This Yesh is, what can one say? And it's this tremendous Hashivas in the concept of Yesh, the Koyach Etzem, that we have in complete, absolute manifestation here. The Yesh is manifested to such an extent that the ayin can't even be perceived, except through deep thought, maybe looking at hashgacha pratis, things of this sort. Table taka looks like a table. It doesn't look like ayin, which Mastami is, but it looks like a table. So again, what are the consequences? Nuts, chlas, and b'soifen. Where is the place to be? Where's the place to be? Gan Eden Elyon, Gan Eden Tachtoin, Malachim, and the Hechelos, whatever. The place to be is here. And the time is now. That's the place to be, because this is the ultimate manifestation of Yesh, the ultimate manifestation of Koyach HaGvul, the ultimate manifestation of Kalim. This is where it will happen. This is what he wants. But he wants us to do it. The work's not finished. Is this hanging together? Okay. If it isn't, feel free to interrupt. Oh, I'm telling you, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. We don't know where we are. We don't know where we are. Since Kalim, since the Kalim already in this gather, in this tenua of Soif Maisa, they're the end of the line. The Horides Hashpa it is capable of eliciting or and restricting it, which is miraculous. Shom Yimatzei Shatchila Amitis. This then is the real tchil. You know, throughout Seder Shalos, which comes first, the egg, the chicken, or the egg? We're constantly Aris are higher in this context, Kalim are higher in that context. The end of the line, the beginning, the true tchila is yesh. To Saif Maisa Dafka, the end of the line, Dafka, Ol b'machshav tchil. This is what came up to his Ratzon, Ba'atz Musai in Etzen. It's explained elsewhere. Uletam zeh kadmai b'chinas tam zeh kadmai b'chinas ak, etc. That's the ak. Therefore, is called kadmoin. Even though it's adam, it's still kadmoin because this was the first. This is rooted in Etzem, as explained in Maimer Avram Zaken. Incidentally, it's interesting, but there's a Maimer Avram Zaken. Tafresh Mem Zayin, Be'inyan Bechinas Harushim, talks about the Hiroshima. Try and find, I challenge anybody to find that mimer. You're not going to find it. V'liyos kain hara yesh b'kelim ha'ara gvoya ma'or. Therefore, what the bottom line, Rabbi Sai, the bottom line is in Kalim, there is something, there's or of some sort, which is higher than or is. However, it comes in a way of concealment. That's why a keli is a keli. If it were begilui in the keli, so the keli is not a metzias, the keli is not a davar nivdol, the keli is not a koyach bifnei atzmoi, which is its whole value is to bring metzias into the equation. It's just another ha'ara. So that what makes a keli is the ar, which is responsible for bringing it into existence. The yeshman is concealed within it. That's the ayin concealed in the yesh. So and what do you see? You don't see the or, this atzmistika or, which is giving rise to the keli. You see the kelis. This is nothing other than what we see in Tanya, that the Rebbe emphasizes so much, that if we had eyes to see, we wouldn't see the cherub, we wouldn't see the tail, we see the Dvar Havaya, which is the whole story. But that's the Gilui. The Gilui is very much hidden, so that we have a yesh. Who misavas or I'm sorry. Shahare lefi hagilui mitzias hakeli. Who misavas or the keli comes to a state of gilui as a keli. As a keli, how? By hisavas or, thickening of the or. It means a tzimtzum. It means a reduction of the influence of the or. It means a reduction in gilui. As the or dims, the reality of the keli becomes more and more emphatic. Now, the keli did not begin with the or. The keli began with Nekudas Harashima, way beyond. But Nekudas Harashima, the or is carrying the Koyach HaGvul. And as the or becomes less and less intense, that the power of Hagbola, the power of the keli becomes more and more manifest. Oval behelam godel shayfa alei misharsha v'sharsha v'chinas hakelim. But in a way of extreme concealment, what really is responsible for the mitzias of the keli, for the existence of the keli, is the or from its sharish, which is concealed and hidden within it, and this is the inyan of ozen chaytim peh da'ak, which is the sharish of keli. So the keli has an or which is so intense, it's exceedingly intense, totally concealed, so that all that's observable, all that's revealed, all that comes to Gilu and Seder Shtalshus is the keli, which is the point. But it doesn't mean the or is not there. It means it's behelim. It doesn't mean the or is not. It's not a withdrawal. It's not histalkus. The or that so-called thickens to give rise to the keli, that diminishes, and that is mitzumsum, and that is reduced. But that's only or which is carrying the possibility of kalim, and as that or becomes reduced, the possibility becomes thicker and more real as a keli. But the or which is responsible for the mitzias, the very existence of the keli, that doesn't change at all. It's not diminished in any way whatsoever. It's there, but it is there in a way of absolute helam. Were it not there in a way of absolute helam, the keli would not be a keli. It would be just another expression of or, another kind of or, a limited sort of or. Yeah? Are we all right? Okay? Pardon? If you saw the Devar Havai in this table, you wouldn't see a table. Okay? If your neshama were revealed to you, which is the aura of your very being, your body actually has a shorish b'fnei atzmai, but soif kol soif, it's all related ultimately to nefesh elikis. That is the end of Mr. Nussbaum, because then you are just a holy illumination and a radiation built in Metzias. Fortunately, the tremendous aura which the Almighty put into actually building you is concealed from you. So now, since that aura is so concealed, there you are, with free will, with avoda, with as a Metzias.
If you didn't see the table, the game is over.
You know, the game is over, exactly. And apparently the game's not over.
Lucky us.
All right. Afal pi shahu behelim godel. So the bottom line, the keli, the fabulous source of the keli is totally concealed from it, from the keli. Lagabi v'chinis hakeli. Hagvulis, the keli which is able to limit, which it itself is limited, which is a metzias. None of this is it's all subliminal. None of this is perceivable to the keli at all. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a keli. So this tremendous concealment, which is ultimately responsible for the metzias, for the operational metzias of a keli, this concealment is only with respect to the keli. Since this already came through a tremendous tzimtzumim, through tzimtzum arishin, the oisius arishima, the keli, in other words, feels itself, knows itself, sees itself as a keli. From the perspective of the keli, it's a keli. It is a yesh. It is a yesh. Which is that's why it's created that way. Yesh is created only by keeping the or away from the mitzias. That's again, Rabbi said, it's simple. Yesh ma'ayin. If the ayin is revealed in the yesh, you got ayin ma'ayin. You don't have yesh ma'ayin. If olam hatzilus becomes revealed in bria, you don't have bria. You just have an extension of hatzilus. Verstehst? This is a radical thing. This keli. Oval, so with respect to the keli, very nice. Everything's hidden, everything's concealed. Very, very high sharish. But as far as the keli is concerned, it's not realizable. It's not perceivable in any way whatsoever. What about the or? Well, the or is a different story. Keli is not designed. Keli is not or. Keli is a keli. Or is or senses or feels or perceives or. Oval, legabe or helam zeh hu bechinas gilu yoser. With respect to the aris, with respect to or, with the function, it never had to do with kalim. With respect to or, the or said, "Oh, look at this! This is look at the intensity. Look at this fabulous or. Look at the source of this givaldi or, because the or senses or." Mamashim is gala legabi a keli. It senses it far greater than the keli does. The or gam kamoshim islavish by keli, or that's even enclosed in a keli. Hu bechinas or ain't soif. The or ma'ayna ma'or. Or is or. Rabbi Sai. Kalim are two completely different concepts. Or is or stays or is. There's never a shinui muhus, shinui metziaski. You can make or smaller. You can make it colored. You can put it through kalim. It'll become the or of chesed, the or of gevura. You can do all kinds of things with or, except you cannot make it not or. And since or is rooted, the or is ma'ayna ma'or, it is always or ein soif. And therefore or has the perceptivity of or and the sensibility and sensitivity of or, no matter where and what and how. And therefore the or is able to feel in the keli that which the keli cannot feel itself, which is an or which is concealed from the keli. And that or is far more vast than the source from which that or came. So, ironically and paradoxically, where is this great or which is being poiled bittel so that artists can be mluvish in kalim? It comes from kalim which doesn't even know it has it. Yeah?
before it comes from keli?
Because the root of the keli is this or. But that root is, even though that root is responsible ultimately for the keli, it is not manifest within the keli. On the contrary, the beauty is that it is concealed so the keli can come out looking like something independent. Same way the table, the Dvar Havaya is not perceived. That's why a table can look like an independent object, independent entity, about which decisions can be made independent of anything else. Without any concept at all, this table really is created yesh ma'ayin every single second by an aura which devolves upon it and brings it into existence. We don't perceive any of that. We can know about it, but we can't perceive it. That becomes now the value of the table. The table becomes a davar bifnei atzmai. A davar bifnei atzmai is something you can do avoida with. You can learn chasidus on it. You can do a number of things on a table. We could set up a roulette wheel here and start a gambling concern and make a lot of money for the high center. Okay, yeah, we could do that. On the other hand, we can learn Hasidus on it. It's only a table after all, but by mamish learning Hasidus on the table, so the unbelievable aura, which is so high that it cannot be perceived altogether, can be accessed through mitzvahs. Lashon Safta means to connect. And therefore, even though, on the contrary, because it can't be perceived, a mitzvah is performed with it by choice, by design. These tables were bought not to have for a bar. Okay, they were bought for this shul, for this base medrash, and therefore the whole concept of taking something which is a davar b'fnei atzmai, a yesh, and finding within it that hidden light. This is what Torah mitzvah is all about. This is what avoid is all about. Is this making any sense to anybody? Yeah? All right. Pardon?
As much as it should.
Well, no, never as much as it should. All right, let's...
I thought it's not
Somewhat.
Well, that's pretty much the best we can do. Let's... let me just finish the sentence. Okay, you do it. The bechin is gili or godel milus or memilus hakeli. No, all right. This just we're going to go back. We'll stop here.